Good morning, friends. Welcome to Wake Up in the Word. Thanks for joining me this morning. Grab a good cup of coffee or some orange juice or some hot chocolate. I don't care what, but grab one and let's get to John chapter 1. We're going to begin to look at some of these first followers of Jesus. Are you following Jesus? What's it like to become one of his disciples? We're going to see some of these early followers and what took place as we spring off of this episode with John the Baptist. So we're in chapter 1 of John, and I want to bring up some other things at the end. Stick around till the end, and we'll talk about some other things that are coming up. But in John chapter number 1, remember it was John the Baptist who had declared that this person, Jesus Christ, is the Son of God. He's the Lamb of God. And we pick up in verse 35 where it says, the next day, John, speaking of John the Baptist, want to always qualify where we're talking about John the Apostle or John the Baptist. John the Apostle never refers to himself by name in his gospel. So that's one of the keys. When he uses John, you know he's not talking about himself. All right, so John the Baptist was standing with two of his disciples, and when he saw Jesus passing by, he said, "Look, the Lamb of God." The two disciples heard him say this, and they followed Jesus. He said, "Well, look, you're announcing the Messiah, but if this is the Messiah, we had better follow him, right?" That's exactly what they did. So it says that these disciples left John the Baptist. Not they weren't mad at him. John is the pointer. Like the North Star, he's pointing now toward Jesus and saying, this is the Messiah. So they said, hey, time to go. So when Jesus turned and noticed them following him, he asked, what are you looking for? And they said to him, Rabbi, which means teacher, where are you staying? Come and you'll see, he replied. So they went and saw where he was staying, and then they stayed with him that day. It was about 4 p.m. Now don't miss this little word. The word translated from the Greek stay is the word minnow. No, not the little bitty fish you use as bait to catch largemouth bass. No, M-E-N-O in the Greek. Minnow is a word that you're going to find 40 different times in the Gospel of John. It means to stay or abide. So abide with Christ, abide in him, stay with him is the picture of what a disciple does. So it's the first indicator that we've got a word here that's very important that's going to pop up throughout this gospel. And the word, the Greek word minnow, is translated staying or abiding with. So they want to go stay with Jesus. So it says it was about 4 p.m. when these guys did this. Now, who are these first disciples? Well, watch this. Andrew, it says in the next verse, Simon Peter's brother, was one of the two who heard John and followed him. Now, we don't have the other one named. Some speculate that that other disciple was John, the author of this book, but we don't know for certain. But we do know Andrew is one of those that followed. And it says in verse 41, he first found his own brother, Simon, and told him, we have found the Messiah, which is translated the Christ. And he brought Simon to Jesus. Now hang on, this guy named Simon is a character you're going to recognize when Jesus changes his name. What does he say in the next verse? When Jesus saw him, he said, you are Simon, son of John. You will be called Cephas, which is translated Peter. So from the Aramaic Cephas, we have the Greek Peter, and so now we have a guy whose name that he was called by everyone else, Simon, has an addition, and Jesus has added something to his name. Now he's Simon Peter. And so what are folks going to call him? Simon or Peter or Simon Peter? Who knows? But here we have something Jesus is already doing to identify someone and call out some of their characteristics. As you'll read throughout the Gospels, Simon Peter is sometimes unstable. Sometimes he just, speaks before he thinks. Jesus is trying to say, no, you're going to be a rock, because that's the translation of this word, a stone or a rock. So you're going to be solid. No, people think you're a little bit flighty and you just don't know which way is up at times and you're impulsive. And no, you're going to learn how to, in following me, become the rock upon which I'm going to help create my church. That doesn't mean you are some kind of first pope of some kind of ecclesiastical hierarchy. He's not trying to set that up for Peter, but he's trying to help him stabilize his life and recognize how he's going to be used in this new kingdom. And Peter has no idea. Simon Peter is clueless as to what God is about to do with him. But isn't that the same with all of us who follow Jesus? Some of you who are like me, you've been following the Lord a long time. Did you have any idea what Jesus would be doing with you when you first started following? Of course you didn't. But because you followed and because your heart was open and you listened to His Word and you obeyed His Word and you started down that long path, He's been able to do miraculous things in your life. Now, if you're one of those younger ones just starting to follow Jesus, this is how you unlock the potential of your life. Oh, there are some important things like who's your life partner going to be? Who are you going to get your education from? All these other kind of things, but they are sidelines compared to the main game. This is the Messiah. This is God in the flesh. First and foremost, you've got to be a follower of Jesus. When you do that, all these other priorities will line up and work in your life. Oh, friends, listen. These early disciples knew there was one thing that had to be at the very center of their life, and that was their fellowship. Who are you following? Now, please don't mistake some of these folks who get on their high horse and say, that's right, I've got this great, you got to love yourself first and self this, self that. No. If self is first, you're going to fail, my friends. Self has got to be second after you first and foremost realize that you've got to follow your Creator. God's got to be priority number one in your life. And when you follow Jesus, then all these other things are going to fall into place. Well, we're going to check out some more of these followers, these disciples, tomorrow right here on Wake Up in the Word. But some of you have been asking about some of our future plans, where we're going. I want to give you a little hint, some previews into that. We're going to be taking Wake Up in the Word and turning it also into a podcast. So some of you who want to listen, perhaps when you're in the road, in places where you can't necessarily watch YouTube or Rumble, then you're going to be able to pick it up as a podcast. When we have all this together, we're working through the processes now, and I'm hoping by Christmas we'll be able to kick off this podcast. Libby seems to think I probably won't get it done until January. She knows how busy Christmas season gets, but this is one of the things we're headed for. And we're exploring a couple of other options as well, because there are just way too many avenues out there for which you can go out and say, hey, folks, we want to point you to the real purpose of life during these confusing times. And the world is going nuts all around us. And there are signs and signals that we're in the last days everywhere. We need to get that message out. And just as these early disciples did, just as John the Baptist did, as he pointed people to Jesus and said, this is the Lamb of God, we need to be carrying out that mission as best we can in these days. So we'll be letting you know as it develops and see how things progress. But our whole purpose in life is not just to follow Jesus, but look what Andrew did. Andrew was following, but then he said, hey, I need to get my brother over here and say, we found the Messiah. Take your own Operation Andrew to heart. Who do you need to go to and say, hey, I've found Messiah. I have found Jesus Christ the Lord, and I'm following. You want to come follow with me? That's the kind of invitation we need to share with our friends and our family while we still have the time. Well, God bless you. Thank you for spending a little time with me this morning as we wake up in the Word. We'll do all this again tomorrow. Come back, enjoy, invite someone, and let's follow Jesus until He comes. God bless you.